You are, of course, still watching Good Morning Nigeria, and it is time for our top story. Now, Nigeria for far too long has been plagued with corruption, insecurity, and a crumbling economy. But in the last election, we voted in Muhammadu Buhari and decided he was the best man to lead us to a brighter future. But what will life under Buhari really be like? Can we really expect things to get better? Or will things be worse? Well, joining me to discuss this is one of the 14 candidates that ran in the last general election, and that is none other than Daniel Akinlami. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
People don't know the backstory. This is like, it's been ordained by God that today you would be seated here because we have tried many times, but of course you are here. So thank you for joining.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Now, of course, I did mention you did run in the last general election. So perhaps is there any bias with this kind of topic that we're going to be talking about? I was wondering, are you going to say, no, nobody can do the job, it should have been me?
Yeah, first I did show the interest in the last election.
Yes.
But I stepped down at the primary level within my party, Actual Alliance. So for us to have the time to bring our support on board as well. So a candidate that was more feasible then.
Yes.
Which was General Buhari.
So you supported General Buhari?
Definitely.
Oh, you did? Okay.
And, I'm proud for
You're
doing
proud.
That.
Okay, so before we we look at some of the promises that Muhammadu Buhari had made during his election campaign, let's talk about this upcoming, the transition to APC May 29th. Now there have been reports that Lai Mohammed has been very vocal in saying that the PDP are not making this process easy, and that the transition is it's being made more difficult. But do you, first of all, let's say, do you envision a smooth transition?
Well, I think at this point, it should be interesting to say that we may not have it smoother than this now. Because this is the first time we are having a transition from one government dominated by one party to another government to be formed by another political party.
This is very
unprecedented.
So
this is the first time in this democracy,
yes.
In the last 16 years. This is the first time. So, but I think what's going to be the tradition henceforth is that there's going to be a kind of system we're going to adopt for this 2 months or 3 months space of transition. Now, what we see happening is the outgoing government forming a transition committee, the incoming government forming its own as well. So they are now trying to interface to say, normally, you should expect there will be grievances and
beforehand. So, but I mean, there have been committees set up from both parties, for the purpose of this transitioning period. But yet we're still hearing of complaints that the transition
when it comes to the concerns, basically the APC's concern is about the level of commitment. Okay. Concerning the handover notes. It's not that the PDP committees have not been working on the handing over date, the May 29, the church services, the mosque prayer service, and all the paparazzi around the May 29. They are definitely working on that. But I think what Lai Mohammed was really concerned about is that most of these agencies and parastatals and ministries that are supposed to prepare the handing over notes are probably taking too long time, to carry them along. And mind you, we have about 3 weeks to the handing over.
Yes.
So if they are submitting this report a week to hand over, what kind of, work will they be able to do on it to examine the state of things they're handing over to them? So I think that's their concern, and I just think it's a legal concern. It's okay for them to
have this.
Yes.
Yeah. But let's look at the the transition in itself. How important is it for there to be this smooth transition so that APC will be able to fulfill some of its campaign promises, although we keep reading that Muhammadu Buhari is saying that, it's not going to be a quick fix, but of course we do expect that there should be some changes since it was changed that the APC were running on.
Okay, I think beyond the grievances of the transition, definitely there will be handover by May 29. So maybe in the future, a legislation will take care of what happened within this transition from government to government.
But it's not
but we can come to the expectation about Buhari's government now. I think we should be cautious. If you look deep into the depth of damages we have on ground in this country, from the power sector to the petroleum sector, to the unemployment rate we have in the country.
There are lots of things
the
to
exchange
fix.
rate, inflation, the economy. So there's a lot of work for Buhari to do.
There is, but
But I think starting may not be as fast as we expect, as the people we expect. But we need to show understanding to this government because they are not magicians. Even Buhari has said it, that it's not coming to perform magic. But beyond that...
Buhari did somewhat change his tune because initially, I remember when I was listening to interviews that he was giving, not only in Nigeria, but the Amanpour interview was very popular as well. And he did speak of some things that he was going to change. Later on, it did seem to move towards the I can't fix everything that has been. Nigeria is very damaged, and it might not be a quick fix. But Nigerians voted for change, and they have changed. So I wonder how, when we are told that we have to be understanding if things do not change immediately, for how long do we have to be understanding?
I think I don't really have any problem with that.
We
need to be objective. And for the president-elect to come out to tell us that there is a lot of work to do, we should not expect too much. It's being objective. That does not take away anything from his campaign promises. It does not take away his capability in confronting the endemic corruption in Nigeria today. And I want to tell you that by the time this incoming government is sworn in, I have confidence that Nigeria will be better off. It's not going to be business as usual. Unlike what we've been passing through in the past 6 years, they put it all over our faces. They insult our intelligence, brazen impunity everywhere. Criminals being appointed into cabinets. You see ministers, being carrying themselves in a way that they do things that are contrary, to the law, and they still retain them in the cabinet.
Okay, so as you've said, it's not going to be business
as usual.
It's
not going to be business
There's so many
usual.
things that we could touch upon, but I think one of the biggest issues that we have been facing here in Nigeria is insecurity. And Muhammadu Buhari had mentioned before, he does want to work with other neighboring countries like Chad and Cameroon, but what can we expect in terms of, of the insecurity we've been facing in Nigeria? Should we expect a turnaround? Is that one of the things that's not going to happen quickly? Do we require patience, or do you expect Buhari to be working hard to combat this?
I think, to be candid, the insurgency crisis may not go overnight. But we are fortunate at this period that the Nigerian army has made much gains recently. So it's going to be easier for the incoming government to put in a new structure to sustain the present gain. Especially
because things are moving in a better light under the current president.
But we cannot wish the terror war away overnight. Because the problems behind the Boko Haram itself is beyond the political. Let's assume maybe the political side of it may be 30 to 40%. But the 70% motivation behind Boko Haram is ideology. So, and confronting the ideological aspect of Boko Haram will take this government to do so many things, including providing better life for those people living in the Northeast. Infrastructure, education, and even for the political class to demonstrate accountability. and show concern for the people. And I think the governors in that region, they have a lot to do as well, because this Boko Haram problem actually started from inequality, poverty, and when some group of people gathered themselves together and they started providing leadership for the people that were being, they've been abandoned, so
Buhari will
to say, by their government.
He will have to be working with
other state leaders. They have to work seriously in stopping this ideological route, uprooting it, beyond the military operation ongoing.
Yes.
There are young people that have been trapped into this group simply because they believe that this is the way to heaven, or this is the ideal religion, this is the right thing to do. Not necessarily that they were born to be evil, but they were trapped by what they've believed, what they've had, what they've been indoctrinated.
So it's about we need to change that mindset.
We must confront the ideological parts.
You mentioned corruption as well, that you feel the last government, well, the government we presently have, hasn't done enough to combat corruption. And, I know you were listening in when we were going through our newspapers, and we saw when President Goodluck Jonathan's wife was, we were told she was in church. We're not quite sure why we were told that. Okay. And she had said before she doesn't want to be visiting, her husband in prison. But what can we expect with Buhari coming in? Is he going to lock up everyone that was in PDP?
The interesting thing.
Is Jonathan going to be in prison?
The interesting thing, you should be hearing the politicians talking already that they will have tough time. They will have hard time. It will be difficult for them. They will be in trouble.
They'll be in trouble.
But you'll be surprised that many of them will send themselves to jail before Buhari sent them to jail. Because the panic and the fear, okay?
That seems to be already present.
So it's a matter of the conscience. Some of them have already sentenced themselves, even before the new government comes in. So, but I think to a large extent, we may have a kind of system that we allow people to return what they've stolen. Maybe those who want to return. I perceive something like that may happen.
With immunity, as in, so that,
it may not be immunity, because instead of the government chasing everybody everywhere, taking everybody to court, those who are willing maybe to part away with what they've stolen from the treasury, they want to return it to the state, well, they may take those things, and then perhaps there may be no need to take court cases against them. But on the long run, it may not be Buhari that will take these people to court. There are human rights organizations in this country. There are concerned Nigerians that have been waiting for the right leadership to be in place so that you can do what is right. People will challenge people. Organizations will challenge people. There are activists in this country. So Buhari is not really going to jail everybody. What is necessary is that everybody obey the law.
Yes.
And that's what we expect is going to happen.
Okay, very quickly, sir, because we are unfortunately having to wrap things up. I do want to quickly touch on the economy. Now, it hasn't been a good state of affairs when we look at the naira, when we compare it to the dollar, to the pound. I know I've been very dismayed when I'm looking at exchange rates. I know Buhari can't come in with a magical wand, but we do, not just investors or business people, but ordinary Nigerians as well. We want our economy to do better. What is Buhari going to do about our economy?
I believe from where we are now, we cannot begin to expect overnight miracle over this economy. We should be realistic.
Is there anything that will happen overnight, sir?
Well, I think the economy, depending on the policies the president-elect will be bringing in, and which I believe is going to be to the best advantage of the country. There are certain things that are also affecting where we are as far as the economy is concerned. If we get the power sector fixed, the economy will be lifted. And when corruption is tamed, government resources will do more things, in terms of infrastructure, providing jobs, and giving the people leverage, even at the grassroots level. But for the economy, you know what the exchange rate is right now? Let's say officially 180, at the black market 200. that may not suddenly change. So that people don't get disappointed. It may not suddenly change. But let's say in the next 2-3 years, the results of their policies should begin to yield results on the economy.
Well, that's good news for everything. Now, I want you to answer this in one word. Is life going to be better or worse with Buhari?
Definitely, life is going to be better off for Nigerians.
Okay, I'll hold you to your word. That is where we have to end things on this discussion. This, of course, was Daniel Akinlami. It's been a great discussion. Do get onto facebook.com/GMNS Cool TV and Twitter @GMNS Cool TV, where you can, if you've got any questions about what we've been talking about or anything else in the show, you can drop us a line or two. We're going to go on a quick break. Zoe is standing by in the News Express Centre to give you another update.